What up YouTube, Lolo Boy Julz here, week 12, and our topic today is on allyship. I apologize for the grainy video and if you can't really hear me too well, battling a cold, just been going through a lot of transition. I also apologize for posting my week 11 vlog late, but I uploaded that earlier today, so hopefully that still has some relevance and impact for you all. If you have any questions or concerns or comments, leave them below on that video or PM me or us, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. When I think about allyship with my blood family, I really appreciate when they still go out of their way to invite me to gatherings. It shows me that they still want me around, and I do hear through the grapevine, through some of my cousins and whatnot, about some aunties and uncles asking about me, and at first it's a little jarring and sometimes triggering, but I try to take it as more of concern about my well-being, mostly from the way that I've heard things posed. I know I'm hearing it through third person, but maybe I just really hope that I could have a better relationship with my blood family. When I think of allyship right now for trans, gender queer, gender fierce, gender nonconforming Asians and Pacific Islanders, I think a lot about blood family. And today was the first time I saw two the elders in my family and two of the babies. There are a lot of babies right now, a lot of nephews, nieces, maybe cousins, etc., etc., and I don't see them very often. A lot of that is because I'm very uncomfortable being in those spaces because I think that they're uncomfortable with me there. And I don't feel safe, and I don't feel like I can be myself. And if I can't bring my full self, or at least 50 to 80% of me into the room, I don't want to be there. I've definitely been in uncomfortable situations with some of my cousins who are closer in age, who have cisgender male friends that say really effed up shit. And most of the time it's been about queerness, sexuality, but me being not only a genderqueer or trans person, but also being queer, hearing those kind of things from a blood relative's friend is not cool. Especially when they're laughing along with that person and there's hella children running around, and I feel completely paralyzed in anger and pain and fear and outrage. I want to call them out, but all I know that I want to do is just cuss them out, and there are children everywhere, and like, what is the impact? Why couldn't I have just said something? Because nobody would back me up, right? And that I didn't want the kids to see me like that. And since that situation, I actually have been avoiding a lot of family gatherings, and that was maybe 2 years ago. But since the birth of so many babies, I've been feeling like, oh, okay, well, I'm kind of out to some of my cousins here, so I know I'm not the only one, and maybe no one else is gonna tell me if they're queer or trans. I just keep thinking, well, what if some of these babies are genderqueer or trans or queer, and if I'm not around, they're not gonna have anyone who will support them or be someone whose just presence is there. I would really love allyship in my blood family to look like my cousins being the ones calling out my other cousins' friends, or my cousins being the ones to check what people say. I like allyship to look like my cousins not telling me not to tell my aunties and uncles, but to tell me, hey, if you decide you want to tell them, I support you, versus I think it's best if you don't because they won't understand. Because to me, that means that you're uncomfortable with me and that you actually don't like me or you have some shit you need to deal with. So why would I want to be around you? When I think about allyship outside of my family, I think about the workplaces I've been in, I think about the youth I've worked with, I think about the communities I roll in, and it's been really difficult trying to navigate all that. And a lot of it mostly starts off not only my gender presentation, but mostly my pronouns. I am in a place in my life where I just don't have any more energies. I rather just swallow the fact that people don't see me just so I can get through the day. And it's such a disadvantage to the youth that I mentor, and also to me. But at this point right now, I don't know what to do. I did a lot of work really trying to push those boundaries and deconstruct gender at my previous workplace, about really trying to grasp transcending the gender binary that we know, but being in a very multicultural workplace, that was difficult. But I know that the impact has been better for new members, and I know that I would really love it if some of the youth who've known me for a long time would actually try and shift their thinking and call me by my correct pronouns. It would be really wonderful too if I could figure out a solution or a model to like safely come out about my gender and or sexuality with the youth that I mentor currently, but I don't really know what that looks like. So I don't have answers for allyship. I don't necessarily know what they look like. Even when I do receive allyship from folks, from cisgender folks or other trans and genderqueer folks, I don't necessarily know how to receive that impact. And it would just be really wonderful, I think, sometimes, or most of the time, which isn't very often lately, but when I'm in community, for other folks to correct other folks about not necessarily just my pronouns, but like just in general, the way they shift their thinking, not to assume anyone's sexuality because they're trans, not to assume anyone's gender, not to assume anything about anyone. I think also it's really important to name that in Asian Pacific Islander cultures, there are a lot of genders outside of, or along with, man and woman, and so things can be complex, or things can be even more open-minded than we think. So what does allyship look like for trans Asian Pacific Islanders? I don't know. It looks very different for each individual, for each individual's community and families. It could be super open-minded, or it could be really rough. It's a big spectrum, and I really don't have answers about what good allyship can really look like, as I am in a place where I feel very defeated about having hope around allyship. So if you have any suggestions or comments, I greatly appreciate the knowledge and wisdom that you have to share with me and for all the viewers out there. So take care, and I will see you soon. Thanks.